Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture, and today we're going over Sasha Sloan's first album called Only Child. So Sasha Sloan is somebody that's been kind of, for in my case, have been peeking out in different places. I've seen her on Kygo's Golden Hour album, which is I reviewed if you want to check it out. With her song "I'll Wait," and I really, really love that song. And Cascade, she's worked with Cascade. She's worked with Megan the Trainer, or Megan the Trainer. Oh please, Megan Trainer, and yeah. So she's kind of known as like the kind of sad girl kind of thing persona. So and I heard about that idea first, but didn't really think of how serious she was with the sadness. Like she's very serious about it, and but I feel like in this album, as much as she is the sad girl, she has the sad girl persona. She also there's just something honest and like vulnerable about what she says in this album specifically. It's just so beautiful, and I was not expecting it. I literally heard her song "Lie," which is the lead single to this album, and I loved it, and because it was so just heartbreaking, and it's so just desperate, like not desperate, but just agony is in it, and it's just like I just loved it. I really loved the feel of that, and it's like you're really going for it, and so I loved it. So I was like, I'm gonna listen to her album when it comes out. I literally, after I heard the song, I found a thing that says she's coming out with an album, so I waited, and here it is. So let me talk about it. So this album's really, really good. It pretty much talks about herself. It talks about breakup, self-love, and love, and stuff that she's been going through in between those things, and I really, really like it. It kicks it off with "Matter to You," and it pretty much talks about how she's like, the world is so big, and everything is just so intense. It makes me feel so small, or that makes me feel like nobody. But you make me feel like I matter. You make me feel like I matter to you. You know, in your eyes, when I see you, you make me feel like I matter. And I really, really like that. But that wasn't my favorite song. That wasn't one of my favorite songs. I liked it, but I was still trying to feel it out, exactly what the album was going for. But then we go into Only Child, and she just broke it down. I never thought that this feeling could be felt before, but it definitely is. So this song is pretty much talking about how easy it might have been if she had a sibling as she was growing up. She says, she starts off with with a sister. She's like, she'd be my built-in best friend. She would know how hard it's been because we grew up the same way, kind of thing. She would have somebody to lean on and talk to on a personal level, but she has to look at herself. But like being an only child, she's very lonely. She's by herself, kind of with it. And then she talks about the brother, like having a brother, and she says like he'd be a gentleman because we grew up the same way. Saying that he wouldn't be a complete asshole, he wouldn't be a fuckboy either. He would be a complete gentleman because they were raised up right, you know. So it just hurt. It just hurt a little bit to hear that. It's like, I definitely feel like I would know what that feels like, but at the same time, I do and I don't. Anyway, so yeah, and then it goes into House with No Mirrors. Just took me. It pretty much talking about acceptance and self-love of herself. But she says, like one of the lines, she says, if I lived in a house with no mirrors, where the walls didn't talk back to me, maybe I'd dream a bit bigger if there is nothing to see. Pretty much saying just like everything around her just reminds her of how much she needs to look good and how much she must look some certain way, and just tearing her down by pieces. And I believe that. I honestly feel like sometimes, like with me, I look in the mirror and just like, I hate that. I hate what's going on in my hair. I hate what's going on in my face. My beard isn't growing in as much. You know, it's just like, to hear that song is just breaks down so much, and I really, really appreciate her writing that, because I can relate to that so much. And just, what if there were no mirrors? We had to rely on ourselves to find that acceptance, you know. Then it goes into "Lie." Love that song. The song's pretty much talking about how she's just like, I know this is not the perfect relationship right now. It hasn't really been great. But I miss what we had. So can you, for a desperate grab onto our relationship and our love, can you please fake like we're having a great time? Like you fake like you really, really love me like you did in the beginning. She says pretty much a lot of things that really just take a jab at your heart. Please just fake it. Pretend to look when I'm naked. And she also says, I want you to show me there's a future here, even though you never really seen it. And then another one I really like is touch me like you did in the beginning. Baby, just give me another day. It's just, wow. Like, so open. There's no there's no feeling left to feel in that song. It just took me away. More that took me away is Hypochondriac. I literally love this song. It pretty much is an ode to her boyfriend, Henry, aka King Henry, who also, side note, produced this album. And he's been a part of things. He's done stuff with The Weeknd. So this song is pretty much talking the duality of her self-care from before she met Henry to after she met Henry. And before, she wasn't really taking much care of herself. She drank a lot. She smoked a lot. She had issues with like going upstairs and stuff like that. And she wasn't, the bigger parts that she wasn't taking care of herself. And she says in this, she's like, the second that you called me yours, I had something to live for. Or worth living for. And I think that's what it is. She didn't feel like she didn't matter. She didn't feel like she had great self-worth. I feel like this is what she's saying. And so what was the point of doing self-care? Who was it for? If you die, you die, you know? And so I felt like when he came into her life, it's just like, I really, really love this. I love what we have. And I cannot lose this. I can't lose this. So I will make sure I call my doctor, do all this stuff I need to do to keep healthy so it can be in your eyes, you know? And she says, now I'm scared of planes, and heart attacks because if I die, I'll never get you back. It's in acoustics too, and it's just really beautiful song. Then it goes into Santa's Real. She took me for a ride in this whole thing, and it just made me, every song, it just has a feeling. Side note to it, is it just me? I didn't start it, but I want to talk about the one part, is that she's pretty much talking about her opinions about wondering if other people feel this way, and one thing that she says is that she thinks that religion is a business where you pay for God's forgiveness. She also says, I think marijuana is classy, and doing coke is trashy. And she's wondering, do other people feel this way? And it's just like, wow, yes, I personally feel that way. I think religion, there's religion that definitely makes you feel there's a contract in a way. But one of the best songs I really love is Santa's Real. Pretty much just saying all these things that she believed as a young person, like as a child, and then something happened that tore that imagination away, it tore that optimism away. And for example, she's like, I dreamed that I would find a guy who would be perfect features, and we'll ride off into the sunset on a horse. That's before I knew about divorce. Her parents went through a divorce as a child, when she was a child, and I think that tore a lot of that thought of what she thought was going to happen. But I think it also takes you down to a level of groundedness, I think, in the same time, because there is time like that, those beliefs is great as a kid, but over time you can't really think that directly, or else you're going to fall into patterns of like, my Prince Charming? No? My Prince Charming? It's just like, no one's going to be Prince Charming. There's a middle part, I personally believe, there's a middle part in between where no one's perfect, but you got to find the person that's not perfect enough for you. Like, that's perfect, that's close enough that you want, you get what I mean. Anyway, pretty much, yeah. So I really, really love this one. She just wants to live in a world where Santa is real, where everything just gets, when things are just better, where everything she believes as a child is the actual thing, where this quote says, where she's like, she would be scared to have the door closed and have the lights on, and she must have the lights on as a kid, because she's scared of the monsters under her bed. She says, because I thought monsters lived under my bed, that's before I knew they walked the streets instead. It's like, whoa, that was intense. Love to Hate is pretty much talking about a breakup and how she felt like they were growing apart, and so she pulled the trigger and said, like, you know what, it's done. We need to break up because we've been falling up, we've been growing more and more apart. And she says but she does feel regret. She's like, or upset about it. She's like, I went from somebody you held when you were lonely, I threw it all away. I went from somebody you love to somebody you hate. And they say people change. Well, I guess it's true. Yeah, it is true. It is completely true. And I think she's definitely pointing that out in a way. She's like, it's just the way that she said it is so simple, but so vulnerable in a way to let you know. It's just like, here's the bad part of it, but here's the good part of it, and here's just the reality, you know? I feel like she's giving me a reality check while by caressing the idea that she understands that you would dream these things would happen. Of course you would have these happen. Who wouldn't want these perfect things to happen? But here's the reality, and here's what happens, you know? But I feel like at the end of it, she always brings it back to like, well, I'll get there. So it goes into until it happens to you, and it adds more to the breakup. She's like, you don't really know what other people are going through until you actually feel it yourself. You can sympathize with so many people as much as you can, but you'll never really know until it actually happens to you. So she says, somebody loses their somebody every day. You'll never really know what it feels like till it happens to you. And she says, you can say sorry a million times, and even if you try to sympathize, you won't be the one picking up the pieces. So in the end of it, those people are still doing a lot of things to like build themselves back up in the end after your conversation. So it doesn't end after your conversation for them. It keeps going, you know? So I think she wants you to keep that in mind when it comes to sympathizing with somebody. Remember that just because you did it, that means doesn't mean everything's over. You still, like, good checkup on them, the thing is a good idea. And finally, it wraps up in the end of high school me, which she says, she's like, I feel like high school me would be very proud of me of who I am now, and understanding it's not perfect now, but it's definitely better than what I had before, kind of thing. One thing that she did say that really struck me was the only color that because she's talking to her high school self, she's like, the only color you wear was black because some girl at school said you looked fat. And it's just like, wow, I completely know I know a couple of friends that actually did do that in high school. I know some people that do it now because they don't feel like, they know that black kind of like slims you down, which they're still trying to figure out how that works. But, you know what I mean? Like, that's just so sad. And then it goes into, I want to say it all gets better, or I won't say it all gets better, but 15 doesn't last forever, and I love that. Just like, your teens are not going to be forever. What you are and where you are in high school isn't the end of you. There's so much to learn. There's so much life out there. As she says, she'll find out the cool kids, they ain't everything. The world is much bigger than your town. And I think that's great. It's so much more out there than just what these bullies and what these assholes say to you. And it's just like so much more out there. And it's just is, you know. Another thing I like that she says, but she kind of brings back more shit that she did in the past, of how much stuff she went through, like, and you gave away your innocence only because he talked you into it. She didn't want to. He talked her into it. It's just the self-worth and self-love and the confidence about yourself that she didn't have back then. And now I feel like she has it now, but she's like, I think she would be proud of me if she saw me now, knowing that I can see those things. But I also wish I can go back and tell her it's going to be okay. You know, you're going to make it through. That's pretty much it with this album. There's only 10 songs. I really, really like this album. I was not expecting, I actually didn't have expectation other than, like, I wasn't sure where I was getting into, but I'm so glad I did. I completely give this a 9 out of 10. It's a really, really good album. It just touches every bit of your heart. Leave a comment below, tell me what you thought. If you liked it, let me know. If you have your favorite songs on it, let me know too. And don't forget to hit the like button if you liked it. And subscribe if you want more. If you want more than that, if you want even more, then go ahead and hit the notification button so you get more of my videos. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.